how to replace your brake hardware. The parts I'm talking about is, here's where your brake pads are, your brake caliper, and your brake caliper holder bracket. The part that I'm talking about would be right here. This metal clips that is on it. So what you want to do is get a, I believe it's a 14 millimeter or 9/16. I don't know, I could get the top one off by the socket, but the bottom one I could not get to it with the socket, so I had to use a 9/16 wrench to get to it. So after you've done that, all you gotta do is just slide the caliper off. I'm trying to do it one-handed. It's kind of work its way off and sit it somewhere where it won't get all messed up on it. Just kind of sit it off to the side so you're not getting all the lines tangled up. And after you've done that, go ahead and take off your brake pads on it, and these just slide right on out. And that's probably why I'm having that noise, because it fell apart. And same thing with the other side. Go ahead and take it off. Then go ahead and grab your new kit. Once you grab your new kit, this is the new part here. Basically, let's show, I don't know if you can see it or not too well with the light. Basically all it does, you can kind of see almost like a little U shape. Let's see, U shape here. So you just want to basically push it in place into it. A little tab over here. Make sure it's in place over here. And the same thing with the top of it. You want to do the same thing with the top one. Basically have it gone this way. Kind of work its way into place. You can hardly see the camera because the sun's shining. Basically that's how it just kind of turns out. And while you're at it too, before you get everything all put back together, the bolts that you got that comes off of here, you got these little sliders right here. I don't know if you can see it moving back and forth. What you want to do is pop this off and go and grease the stem of the bolt. So the part I'm talking about is just the shaft of it. Go and grease it up, therefore it can turn and slide easily. Because with that sticking, the brake's gonna be off centered, and the brakes ain't gonna work right if it's not all lubricated up. So after you've done that, what you want to go ahead and do, the parts are stuck on it, but what you want to go ahead and do is put the brake pads back in place. That's all it is, basically just kind of how it was when it was on there first. You get it right into these notches here, the top and the bottom one, and try to gotta kind of almost center them both at the same time for them to work, just like so. Same thing with the other side of the brake pad. Still got plenty of meat on it. Go ahead and just do the same thing with the other side of it. Pop the old hardware off of it. You want to make sure, I've seen people somehow, if you see the brake, let's say it looks like this way, don't have it the other way. Common sense. Have it this way, because that's the way it's supposed to go on. Make sure you take photos if you're not for sure before you take it all apart, so you know how it goes back together. So basically the same step over here. Just get your brake pad into the hardware assembly till it clips in there basically, and it's on there tight. So after you've done it, they should both turn out like that. It's up against the brake rotor. I think that's probably too close, yeah. Just like so. And like I said, make sure you grease up your sliders for your the bracket. And after you've done that, you may or may not need to compress this. If you did not press the brakes, you should be fine, and just kind of wiggle it back in place. So make sure you have this end in over the brake pad first before you do it. Then you just want to kind of wiggle it into place. Make sure your hardware is still in there. And obviously get the holes lined up and I would hand start the screws so you do not cross thread them. So if you're looking at it this way, you want to turn to the left. That's tightening. I'm just going to get just where it's snug, where you can't turn it anymore by finger. Same way with this side. Turn it to the left since you're looking at this way, not looking at the other way. Now technically you'd be turning it to the right, but this way you're looking at it left. So after you've done that, just get a hand tighten. Go ahead and get your wrench on this end and make sure you get it on there tight. Don't go like too crazy tight, but it needs to be there pretty tight so it doesn't wiggle loose from the vibration. Same thing with this other side. Go ahead and get it tight. Maybe get as tight as you can with your hand, and you can take a tool, a hammer, and give it a couple taps just to make sure it's on there nice and tight. And after you get it all tightened down, go and put your wheel back on and take it for a test drive. Don't go too fast. Start off slow. Give it a couple pumps, make sure it's stopping and making no noise. Reason why I had to replace it because when I'm pressing the brakes, riding it, it'd sound like, for example, like the brake pad would be going back and forth where it's kind of squealing or grinding. I had the same problem on the other side and I replaced the hardware and that fixed the problem. So I'm hoping this will fix this problem too on this side. So if you replace one brake hardware on one side, you might as well replace the other three. So like your both front ones up here, driver's and passenger side, you want to replace those. And since you already replaced one side, might as well replace the other side. Just so you're all good to go. So that's how I replaced the brake hardware on the Lincoln MKZ and Zephyr. Thanks for watching.